going to ask you to reflect on one statement, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what you think I mean by this statement in relation to what we're talking about this morning. Okay, and the statement is, every contact counts. Anybody, what do you think I mean by that? Yes, yes, I'm looking for a different answer though. Everybody is connected, and everyone's a salesperson in your company, whether you believe it or not, but they are. I'll explain that later, but no worries. Is that better? Thank you. Thank you, Cormac. Every contact counts. Anybody? Don't make assumptions about any contact. Yep, definitely. Without a doubt. We're going to touch on that a little bit later. Anything else? Yeah. Be consistent, yeah. In terms of an emotional or a physical reaction, what do you think I mean by every contact counts? Yes. Very good. But even more importantly, so when someone comes towards you and comes in contact with you, what do they create within you? Yes, a relationship. But what else do they create within you? Exactly. Who said that? Very good. Every time you come in touch with somebody or they come in touch with you, they're creating a physical and an emotional reaction within inside you. Right? Now that can be positive or negative. So you've all been in the situation when somebody comes towards you or he comes in and touches you, oh jeez, they drain the living daylights of me. They're negative. They're moaners. They're problems. They create anxiety between you. They're condescending. They're nasty. They're drains. Or else they can be warm, energetic, passionate, empathetic, kind, inspiring, motivating. Very good, very good. Because, and why I'm saying this is, I'll go back. For every difficult, this is a life, not just for sales, this is leadership, this is dealing with your family, dealing with anything. For every difficult relationship you have, or any relationship you have, you are what responsible? You've just seen it. I've given you the clue. Yes, you are 50% responsible for that difficult relationship. But guess, who do we blame? The other person. But what do we ever analyze? What are 50%? What are we creating in the people we come in contact? Are we boring the daylights out of them? Are we giving them way too much information? Or are we the opposite? And guess what? When we change our 50%, guess what happens? Yes, because behavior begets behavior in the majority of the time. So we really need to look at our 50% before anything else. And we need to ask ourselves, because every time we meet or speak or try to sell to somebody, we have the ability and the opportunity to persuade and influence others. And sales is all about persuading and influencing the actions of others. Would you agree with that statement? And every time you come in touch with them. So, what is it like? I'm going to go back. Yeah, I'll see you there. One of my great mentors, I went to him one day and I said, geez, I'm having a lot of challenges with this team and a lot of challenges with this person and I'm not getting the buy-in here. And this person is that and this person is that. And he stopped me in my track and he asked me to reflect on one question and he framed it twice. And he went through the explanation of, I'm 50% responsible. And he said, Alan, have you ever stopped to think about or reflect on what's it like to be on the other end of you? What's it like to experience you? And I just thought about it, and he was right. I was moaning, I was negative, I was a problem, I wasn't coming with solutions, I wasn't empathetic, I wasn't genuine, I was fake, I was fraud. I was a problem. And most of us don't think about what's it like to be on the other end of us. What's it like for our customer or our client to experience us? And I always, any time I go into a meeting now anymore, I think, what would I like them to experience from me? And then I change my actions and behaviors, and I try to create that experience for them. Does that make sense? So I'd love you to think about, just for a second, what's it like to be on the other end of you? At home, your clients, your key internal and external stakeholders. And then what would you like them to experience? And I think going back to Emma's, you need to ask questions, because some of us are blinded anyway. Some of us have lack of awareness in how we are perceived. So we need to find out. And then we change. And I said behavior begets behavior the majority of the time. Or are we sleepwalking into every meeting, bringing the negative from the last meeting, or are we resetting? Often we sleepwalk through the day. We have a bad meeting here, and we bring that negativity into the next, and we don't know we're communicating that negativity. Does that make sense? So always have a reset before your next meeting and ask that question, what would I like this person to experience? What are the behaviors and actions and emotions and energy I need to bring to this for them to experience that? Because people buy people. People buy people. No matter how good the product is, if they have a bad experience with you, they're not going to buy from you. So can we have a reset mechanism right throughout the day that we're not bringing the negativity from home or the negativity from the last meeting into the next meeting? Because we sleepwalk. We never ask those questions of ourselves. And coming back to, think of all the great leaders you've worked with or under. I played hurling and football for Galway. I've experienced many good ones, many bad ones. I've done a lot of projects in Africa with the charity. We're over 20 million worth of projects. Terrible managers, great leaders. Worked with. Same in business. What is the one thing that make you feel? How do they make you feel? All the good ones now. All the really good managers you've worked under, leaders. How do they make you feel? Empowered. Even go lower now on an emotion level. Anything else? Passionate, exactly. Respected. Valued. Yeah, what's the greatest human need? Exactly, it's a great one. Pardon? Yes. What? Yes, the experts say, the greatest emotional human need is to feel loved, to feel valued, and feel belonged. To feel loved, to feel valued, and to feel belonged. And we do a lot of leadership stuff. And most leaders or managers, the average ones or the poor ones, they treat the people and the staff in front of them as if they're just output. They're pieces of meat. They forget that they're dealing with a human being in front of them first, who have the same fears, emotions, anxieties, desires as themselves. We all have the same. And all the great managers that I've worked under have made me feel that they've really cared about me. They genuinely, it wasn't a tick box. They genuinely cared about me and my professional development, but more importantly, they cared about me and my stuff away from work, or away from the pitch. If there was stuff happened, I had a very sick child, he was in hospital for 6 months. My manager at the time gave me the year off, paid me. Came over to Manchester, he had life-saving surgery. Really made me feel he cared for me. He looked after my stuff away from work. What would you do for a leader in return when he or she does that for you? You go through a brick wall for them when they do that, when the shit hits the fan. You create huge loyalty, huge reciprocity. And it's the same generally it's the same in sales, because I said they care about. Generally, in sales or dealing with people, if you can demonstrate that you really care about them, you're going to get far more value. You're going to get far more return. You're going to get far more interaction. You're going to really develop trusting and deep relationships. And the experts say that you should care more about the person than the sale. People don't want to be sold to, they want to be supported or helped. So can we care? Because remember, you're dealing with a human being first in front of you, not a person that's going to help you hit the target, or you just need to get the sale done, or tick a box. And I believe, from my own experience in life, that this really works. Would you agree with that statement? Okay. People buy people, people buy you. So what experience do you want to bring to the room, or to the pitch, or to the one-on-one interaction? And the researchers and experts have reviewed all the top 10 most top TED Talks in the world, and they found the 3 key ingredients. And I've kind of merged them into sales as well. And the top 3 ingredients that they say when you're presenting or speaking are that these TED Talks, why they've got millions and millions of views, and they're in the top 3 or 4. One is emotion. You've got to bring huge emotion to your pitch, to your sale, or when you're speaking. You've got to really demonstrate that you really, really believe in what you're doing and what you're selling. Not sure who said, there's a great quote, fall in love with what you're selling and sell the love. Or fall in love in the difference that your product is making and sell the love. Because people will pick up frauds who don't believe in it. They do. You know yourself. But when you have somebody in front of you that really believes in the product and really believes in the difference and how it can help you, you're going to listen to them. So can you really, it's called maybe create conviction in your selling. How do you create that conviction? The next piece, and also with emotion, people buy emotionally, not with logic. If people bought with logic, we'd all probably be driving Ladas. You know what I mean? Or Skoda, or not Skoda. Skodas are a great car. I have one myself. But why do people buy a Merc or Porsche? They like how it makes them feel. Same with Apple. So you need to sell to the emotion, how it makes people feel. So how can we bring real emotion? How can we sell or deliver or pitch in a new way that's different, that's innovative, that's creative? Because we're constantly selling every day. And people are constantly getting people come to them, and everyone's doing it the same way. So how can we do it in a real, innovative way? And how can we make it memorable? Memorable for the individual. I'll give you an example. We pitched to Aer Lingus to do a leadership program for one of their cabin crew and duty managers and ops managers. And I was only a one-man band. I was only started the company. And I had 2 facilitators coming in with me. And we're going up against 3 or 4 big companies. And we used this. I'm a big believer in experiential learning. You learn by doing. I'm kind of a very kinesthetic learner as well, or a visual learner. And I said, well, we're preaching here about we're experiential. We're going to do a very experiential course for the staff, and we're delivering in a non-experiential way. I said, everyone else is going to come in and just pitch and tell them what they're going to do. We go in, let's show them what we're going to do, and we'll deliver it with passion. So we went in and we did loads of exercises with them. One of the exercises I did is I brought my golf clubs. And I landed in with the golf clubs, and they looked at me. I thought, what the hell is this fella going with golf clubs? But what we're trying to get across was we're teaching, Dan Goleman has 6 styles of leadership. There's commanding, there's, coaching style, there's affiliative style. And all they say, you have a default style, but you need to adapt your style situationally. You can't just have one style fits all. You've got to adapt. Sometimes you need a commanding style to get it done and just force people to do it and get it over the line with deadlines. They say the coaching style is far more effective. So we got them to pull a club, 6 clubs, to get this experience to what we're trying to do. And it says you wouldn't use a driver on the putting green, or you wouldn't use a putter on to drive the ball off the tee. For those who listen to golf, same with leadership. We'll do another exercise later. And it was memorable because it was different. We got them doing several exercises. And we asked them afterwards, do you mind, why did you give it to us over over the rest. And said, but you were really, really different. You got us feeling it, you got us visualizing it, you got us what impact you're going to make. And secondly, he said, we were up on the third floor in Aer Lingus in this administration block. And we saw these guys come with golf clubs. And we said, just what the fuck are these guys coming with golf clubs for? We couldn't get you out of your head. So we were memorable. They remembered us. And another part of that is, I'm going to ask you a question. As a leader, you're always on stage. Or as a salesperson, you're always on stage. What do you think I mean by that? Anybody? As a leader or as a salesperson, you're always on stage. What do you think I mean by that? Anybody? Yes? Anything else? Yep. Yes. And so this lady said, we're making impressions on everyone we meet. Anything else to add to that? You're being judged. Yes, but even to go, you're always being watched. We were coming in, they told us that we saw the three of you coming in we watched you down from the car park. We saw you come with the golf clubs, and we saw the chemistry between the three of you, and you're having good fun and good banter, you look like you gelled well. And that's what actually was one of the pivotal decisions. They saw us and how we behaved from the car park. We never knew they saw us. Another day I was doing a pitch for the charity, and I normally bring the suit or the good clothes in a hanger in the car from driving to Dublin because we creased. And I was unorganized, I was late. I arrived into the car park. There I was in the car, changing my clothes, pants down, pulling up my pants, running up, shirt on, running into the office, pitched to, a well-known individual, not you, Bobby, pitched to a very well-known individual, and he said no. I said, and then I asked for feedback. He said, look, I like what you do. It's great. I like you. I just can't work with unorganized people. And I said, what do you mean by that? I said, I saw you in the car, How we do one thing is how we do everything, he said to me. And I said, we'll give it a miss this time. Come back in a while. But I was being watched. So you're always communicating. You're always communicating. So you've got to walk the walk, and you've got to live the values you propose to speak about. Okay? I'm going to skip on for time. Again, be authentic. Okay? People, be you, but just do you better. Don't change your accent. Don't try to copy people. Just do you. When you're authentic, people will engage with you. And then people will tell you stuff. Like you ask the questions, find out what they want. How for time, lads, there? Just kind of. Okay. I'll skip on. Again, your impact on the audience. I'm going back on your impact on the audience or your impact on your customer. How much do you think of it? If it was broken into 3 sections, physical. Out of 100, what would you give physical? In terms of your impact, percentage-wise, on the audience? Is that a bit lower? Again, good. Anybody a better guess than 73? 55, excellent. 55. Your tone of voice. Impact on an audience or impact on a customer or an individual. 30, close, 38. Meaning the words that you use is just 7%. Words, 7. Physical and tone is 93%. How many of us focus on just the words? We go in and we just words. It doesn't matter. We've got to bring that energy. We've got to bring that. I've spoken of that. We've got to bring the 4 E's, we call it: energy, enthusiasm, excitement, and then empathy. Empathy is how you understand. Are you living in the shoes of the client, or are you just through your own lens? We say sales is a leadership. Sales or leadership is a relationship through which you influence the actions and behaviors of others. Apologies for the colors. When they were sent to Dara, they kind of got skewed. They weren't supposed to be that color. So sales is a relationship through which you influence the actions and behaviors of others. What is the key word there? Relationship. No relationship, very difficult to sell. Make a friend, make a sale, they say. How many of us audit our network and audit our relationships, particularly our key stakeholders, internally and externally? A great company we worked with had this scale, and they identified all the key relationships. Each individual identified all their key relationships, and they ranked themselves where each of them lie. And then we came up with actions and strategies on how are they going to move to at least 4 and 5. What are you going to do in the next 2 or 3 months or year? Because sometimes it's a longer game. It's maybe a 2 or 3 year game. But how am I actively going to move that relationship with that key person to build that trust, to ensure that we retain our business or get new business from them? But most of us don't do that. We're not focused on that. Does that make sense? So I'd love you to maybe write when you finish today, just write all the key people you need that are really important in terms of relationships. Rank them where they are, and then actions. What am I going to do in the next few months to move those people up the line in a genuine way, not a fake way? Again, it has to be genuine. It has to be meaningful. You may never get a sale, but you're just developing that relationship, because who knows where that will lead. Does that make sense? Okay, that's an exercise I'd like you to do. Okay. Again, understand the customer's profile. You need to adapt your style. We train people to have the invisible discipline of identifying by a person's pace and by if they're fast or slow pace, or if they're in the disc profile that we use, or if they're people or task orientated. And then you adapt your style situationally to influence either D, an I, an S, or a C personality type. We can't go into that today. But in general, if you don't know what they are, nobody will argue with this. Be brief, be brilliant, be gone. People's time they're time poor. They don't want to hear waffle. They don't want to hear crap. They don't want to hear rambling. Maybe I'm rambling now. But in general, I don't think you'll fail with this. Be brief, demonstrate your competency or the product's competency, and be gone. That makes sense? Okay, I'm going to ask you to do an exercise. Has anybody ever done this exercise before? White paper exercise, no? Okay, in your folders, you have a white paper, a A4. How we fix the time? How we fix the time? Okay, perfect. This is the last piece. Okay. So I want you to close your eyes. Trust me in this one. Close your eyes. There should be a blank piece of, here, you can use those. A blank piece of white paper, or I have one. Or pen. You don't need a pen. Close your eyes. Everyone close their eyes. Anyone done this exercise before? Okay. I want you to close your eyes. Keep it closed. Trust me. I'm going to give you all a very, very simple set of instructions to follow. Keep your eyes closed, everybody. Hold that piece of paper in your hand. Okay. I'm going to give you all the exact same instructions. I want you to fold that piece of paper in half. And I want you to tear off the top right-hand corner. Please. Okay. Keep your eyes closed. I'm going to ask you to do that exact two-step process again, where I'm going to ask you to fold the piece of paper in half once more, and again, follow that by tearing off the top right-hand corner. Okay. I'm going to ask you to fold the piece of paper in half again for a third time, and again, follow that by tearing off the top right-hand corner. And I'm going to ask you once more to do that, to fold it for a fourth time in half, and again, follow that by tearing off the top right-hand corner. When you have that complete, you can open your eyes. Don't reveal your masterpiece just yet. Okay. Have everyone done? Okay. Would you agree I gave you all the exact same instructions? Would you agree they were simple to follow? So technically, we should all have the exact same masterpieces. So let's just open up and look at what we got. Okay. Different. Okay, we probably have 100. How many have we in the room? We probably have 130 different. Okay. Would you agree they're all different? Some similar, but some hugely different. Yeah. Okay. Question. On reflection, what is the purpose of that exercise? Communication, exactly. But what's the purpose of that exercise? Excellent. But, huh? Yes. And what's another word for that? Everyone in. I'm in a room of 130 people. Very intelligent people. Very intelligent and highly professional people. And you all interpreted my message differently, or my instruction differently. So what was the problem with my communication to you? Didn't tailor. What else is wrong with it? Pardon? Detail. Yes, even if it was more detailed, we still have variations. Not visual, definitely, that's one part. Feedback. Yes, it was all one way. So, in life or in sales, sorry, this is a change color again. You are the sender. This is the communication model we use in training. You are the sender. You must encode a message. You must then deliver that message to a variety of channels, whatever the channel is. And would you agree most of us stop there? Boom. 90% of us. Now, based on that exercise, we believe that's not enough. You must help the receiver decode the message the way you want them to decode it, not the way you assume they decode it. And you do that by introducing a two-way feedback and engagement system. What's the simplest way to engage a two-way feedback or engagement system? Anybody? Yes, what you need to do to listen before you listen. Ask questions. You know, the more engaged we are, the more involved the audience is, or the sales, or the client is with us, the more likely we're going to get information. Just following on from what Emma said in her middle piece. Questions. Let's share the learnings here. What is it do you want? Your reflections. How could we do this better? Now, I'm coming to you every month. How could we work better together? Role plays, visualizations, walkthroughs. How can you make them feel it? You know, we all learn differently. VARK, visual, auditory, read, write, and kinesthetic. They say all great pictures and all great communications must include all those modalities to be a very effective communication. Must use visuals. We all speak. Read, write, people need to take notes. And then kinesthetic needs to be experiential, but they need to feel the benefits. If we can add all those modalities into our pitch, we have a far better chance because you're hitting all the learner. Does that make sense? Our interactive exercise, our experiences. I'm not going to do this for time, but there's another exercise we do where we ask you to sell the pen. Anyone sell the pen? Yeah. So for the students, we know we have students in the room, so we ask people to go in pairs and sell the pen for 50 euros. What happens? What 90% of people do what when they try to sell the pen? They tell them how good the pen is, tell them what features it is, how good value it is, blah, blah, blah. What should they say should happen based on what Emma told us earlier on? Not sell the benefits, because sometimes they don't want those benefits. Ask questions. Yes. What type of pen would you like? What type of pen do you use, or would you use? So, the questions, the power quality questions. Because they say, going into a kind of a doctor's analogy, you need to examine the situation, then you make the diagnosis, then you prescribe what do we always do more than likely? As Emma said, when you get used to it, what are we normally always doing? We're prescribing all the time. But we're probably prescribing the wrong thing. So we need to go back and ask those quality questions and then have really good listening skills because you're going to pick up the gems and nuggets of what they want. And then you pitch to that. Does that make sense? The last question I'm going to skip on. It's all about the audience, not about you. Quality questions. They direct focus and they facilitate alignment. Questions. They say all great leaders and all great companies constantly upgrade the quality of the questions they ask of themselves. Ask great questions, you get better answers. If you have a problem, ask enough quality questions around the problem, you'll get a solution. And the last thing I'm going to leave you on is this. Nelson Mandela stumbled on the power of quality questions. All great leaders and all great companies and all great individuals constantly upgrade the quality of the questions they ask of themselves and of others. He was on Robben Island for 27 years, whatever it was. He stumbled on this theory and he started to ask, instead of the bitterness, he said, okay, how am I going to get out of here? Was the first question he asked. And he said, I'm going to write letters to Europe and the US to shine a spotlight on the situation here in South Africa. He did that for a number of years. The spotlight started to shine on it. That started to happen. The next question he asked himself, if I get out of here, what type of South Africa would it need to be? That's where he came up with his policies and procedures and his vision for South Africa. The next question he reflected on was, if we are to have this South Africa, we need a great leader. Who would that be? And he reflected for ages, and he said, maybe me. And this is the most important question. He said, if I was to be that great leader, how should I be? And that's where he went from hate to love, bitterness to forgiveness, and he became the perceived great leader that he was. And my question to you is, before I leave, and to reflect on, if you're to be this great salesperson or this great leader, how should you be? Thanks very much. There we go.